I have been using a dashboard from My Wealth Diary on Instagram, I'll tag her in the description down below, for the last 2 years to track every single one of my transactions. I had previously tried using digital apps like Mint or You Need a Budget to track my finances, and I found that because it was automatic, I wasn't actually checking the app and I had no real knowledge of my finances. It is tedious, but by manually entering every single one of my transactions, I have a much more personal relationship with my finances and I'm able to see my spending habits. It also helps me see where I tend to overspend so that I can adjust my spending habits and stop myself before I buy something in a category where I tend to overspend, cough, cough, in the clothing category usually. This has been by far one of the most helpful habits that I have implemented, and I highly recommend you having a very personal relationship with your finances rather than treating it as something as like a twice removed uncle that surprises you on Thanksgiving dinner. Get to know your finances very, very clearly, because this is something that can truly make or break the quality of your life and is going to be with you for the rest of your life. So get in tune with your finances. I will share the dashboard and all of those details down below so you know where to go to find it. What? Yes, I journal on my computer, and this is coming from someone who has been using an analog journal for the last 10 years. I started doing this because of my boyfriend, actually. He started digitally journaling using an app called Day One, and what he did was freaking genius. He inputted all of his journal entries into ChatGPT, and it was able to tell him things about his life based off of his journal entries, trends, habits, etc. Like, for example, it actually told him that based off of his journal entries and how he rated the quality of his days, that he was actually happier on the days that he spent with me. So that was pretty cool. Just like my boyfriend, I started off using Day One, but I like to be very digitally organized, and I didn't like having a separate app for journaling and then a separate app for organization. I currently use Notion. So what I did is I created a journal section in my main dashboard, and that is what I currently use to journal. Within the journal, I have a template where I have questions that I answer every single morning. The questions are what time I woke up, what phase of my menstrual cycle I'm in, the mood that I'm feeling, and then down below I have affirmations that I read every single morning. I have an area where I write my gratitude, and then of course the section where I actually journal. I actually do have an analog journal that I carry around with me. This is the kind of journal that I've been journaling in for the last 10 years, just a little moleskin Kahir journal. This is the journal where I write my most heartfelt, in the moment ruminations, because I think that there are certain things that need to be handwritten that just don't, typewriting just doesn't do it justice. So I do still carry an analog journal around, but I will tell you, digitally journaling has taught me a lot about myself. For example, in my follicular phase, I start off the majority of my journal entries with like all caps, "Good morning," with like 15 exclamation points. And during my luteal and menstrual phases, I start off with a very solemn "Good morning" with like a little smiley face. It's still happy, but I did not notice this until I went back and read my journal entries, and I was able to see the journal entries where I was in my follicular phase, in my ovulatory phase, and the journal entries where I was in my luteal and menstrual phase. It's just crazy the difference that it made. Comment below if you would switch over to a digital journal. I know it's kind of a controversial thing, like reading a Kindle versus reading a book. Or if you have any questions about it, comment them down below. Maybe I'll make a whole video about it. If you can't tell by my YouTube channel, I am a huge advocate for personal development. But over the last 5 or 6 years that I have been involved in personal development, I have found myself becoming more of a hoarder of information rather than actually executing on the things that I've learned. So in order to start practicing the things that I have been learning in all of my personal development journey, I put a pause on reading personal development and started reading more fiction. I did not realize how much I missed reading fiction until I started reading it again. Personally, I really enjoy historical fiction, so while I wasn't reading about habit stacking or monk mode or building a second brain, I was reading about the history of Cartier, the empire of Mary Margie Weather Post, the scandal of Babe Paley and Truman Capote, and secret missions of World War II. I use it as a way to transport myself and for me to relax without scrolling through social media or watching TV. I also find myself being able to strangely relate to the characters and become more in tune with my emotions because I like the way authors will depict characters going through difficult situations or breakups or things like that where I can emotionally relate to them, and it helps me in real life situations. I probably took around a 3 to 4 month break from personal development, and once I felt like that break was long enough, I started incorporating it back into my reading routine. So my routine currently consists of reading personal development during the day and then curling up with a good fiction book at night. Do you know how long I have been putting things off that I've always wanted to do because it didn't make sense? For one thing, hobbies make me so much more interesting. Now when someone asks me, what do you do in your free time? I don't have to answer with, I don't know, I go to the gym, or I don't know. This past year, I have finally started learning French using Preply. I've talked about this in previous videos, highly recommend, love it. I've also started salsa dancing, and I am now learning how to code. None of these things have any practical use in my daily life. I am not living in a French-speaking country. In fact, Miami is mostly Spanish-speaking. I don't dance professionally salsa, and coding might turn into some sort of career path, but right now it's just because I'm interested in it. And that leads me into the other point, is that I am so much happier and content by pursuing these things that interest me. I have things to look forward to, and I'm able to look back on the progress that I've made. I strongly believe in doing things that we feel an impulse about, that tug at our heartstrings because they're tugging for a reason. My wardrobe now consists of 85% dresses, 15% normal clothes. Ever since I was in middle school, I have always wanted a wardrobe that consisted mostly of dresses just because that's what I feel really comfortable in and the most beautiful. I love wearing dresses. They make getting dressed so simple because you only have to choose one thing. I have dresses for running errands, for going for walks, for going to dinner, for even lounging around the house. Whatever your choice of clothing is, there is something to be said about wearing clothes that you feel beautiful and confident in. I don't mean confident like needing to express yourself. I mean confident like not having to worry about sucking in or wearing bra straps or if your shorts are too tight, because that makes you so uncomfortable, and for me, it makes social situations also less comfortable. Y'all, I am so freaking organized. I used to be the person who would try to remember all of the dates and appointments that she had, or I would write them in my desk Lily Pulitzer calendar, and I would forget about dates that I scheduled with friends. I would be late to a work shift, and I had to put an end to this. I have started using my Apple Calendar, and I cannot begin to tell you how useful it is. I put everything into my calendar. The obvious things like a nail appointment or a hair appointment or a work meeting that I have, but I also put in there when friends and family are coming to visit, travel dates, my gym time, dates with my boyfriend, dates with my friends, my nightly wind down time. I always have my phone on me, like I'm sure 100% of us do. So let's, for example, say that I run into a friend at the gym, or I run into a friend at Trader Joe's and we want to schedule a date the next night. I can pull up my phone, see if I have anything else scheduled, because I always forget what I have scheduled, and I can confirm right then and there whether or not I can go to dinner with them the next night. I don't have to call them back. I don't have to forget about something that I might have already scheduled and be frantically stressed because I double booked myself. I know exactly what I have scheduled, so I never have to double book myself, and I never forget anything. Overall, 11 out of 10. If you are not using a calendar on your phone, I highly recommend it. And there you have it. 6 uncommon or non-typical habits that have absolutely changed my life and made this year so much better. Let me know if you guys are going to use any of these habits or implement any of them, because I love being able to go on these journeys with you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.